This is the violent gentleman, Tommy Jackson. You're watching CCP Podcasting. Stay inevitable.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome back to Beyond the Bell. My name is Chris Page, and that man is not John Cable. Imagine that. We're breaking new ground. Devlin Knight is our correspondent over in the UK, and we'll get into a little bit more why he's here in just a few minutes. But Devlin, how's it feel to be on your first Beyond the Bell?
Oh man, I'm excited. I did my first WRL the other week or the other day, and now we're doing this one. And man, I'm pumped. I'm psyched for this.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. That's how it's kind of how I'm wording it. Our adventures into diving deep into the independent wrestling scene has taken us all over the globe. And today's no exception for Beyond the Bell. Let's jump right in. We've had a member of this faction on the show in the past. In our first month of putting these shows together, we had one of the gentlemen on, but I think we're going to get a little bit more violent today on the program because we got the heavy of the Violent Gentleman Society. What's happening, Mr. KC Payne? How are you, brother?
I'm all good, guys. How are you doing? I appreciate that you got the VGS merch on. Gotta appreciate that, man. You gotta always represent.
Of course.
I'm going to tell you, when he first got that shirt, he put a picture in our group chat in CCP Podcasting over on Discord. He was like, I got my merch. He was so excited about that. And I have one. I owe you guys one, so I'll be taking care of that debt. So my violent card stays intact. But how's life treating you over there, brother? You doing all right?
Not too bad, to be honest. I only came from training earlier today. I was training at Claw. So that was a blast. I was training under Lizzie Evo. So it's a good little session now. I'm just feeling it a little bit, so if I seem a little bit out of breath, it's probably because of the bumps that I took today.
No worries, man. Well, Devlin, meet KC Payne. KC, take it easy on Devlin. It's his first Beyond the Bell. We still got his training wheels on.
Yeah, I promise to be okay.
All right, just don't knock him out.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
It depends, right? Well, listen. How we got connected? Obviously, Tommy Jackson is a friend of our Twitch channel, and popped in randomly on one of our streams, and we developed quite friendship, if you will, and shared some DMs. And I didn't know that he was a worker at the time, and it wasn't until I started a Wrestling Request live show that he told me, like, hey, I do some work. Well, send me some links. And alas, that's how I was introduced to VGS and Tommy's work. And when we circled around with him to appear on the program, he was one of the first people to say, because we do spotlight videos and other odds and ends to kind of promote you guys that come on the program. He was the first guy to say, well, listen, instead of just doing it on me, can we do it on the Violent Gentleman Society? And absolutely. And that's exactly what happened, and it introduced me to your work. It introduced me to Quintessential, to Stacey Rose, and that's a beautiful thing about independent wrestling. Before we get too deep into the conversation, there was you have a career before the Violent Gentleman Society was a thing, and we'll get into all that. Introduce yourself to our channel. Obviously, they know your name is KC Payne, but give us a little bit of insight on what brought you into the business, and just a little intro for those watching.
Cool, guys. So I am the Payne King, KC Payne, and I have been wrestling for about 7 years now. So I started back in 2016, late 2016. And my first match was late 2017 for me. I was very nervous to actually get in on a show. I was all right on training, but on a show, very nervous. It took kind of being peer pressured into a Rumble spot to get me to finally debut. But then after that, I was hooked then, and the confidence just came over time. And then we go to 2020 after COVID. That's when we led into the VGS stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about later on. But for me, man, it's been a crazy ride. It's only 7 years flies by just like that. It's insane how I've been wrestling for nearly a decade. It feels like I've been wrestling for about 3 years.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
your
that's
bump
it.
card fills up pretty quick when you're out and
Well,
about out
yeah.
there.
The beauty about being 6'5" is that you don't take too many bumps on shows. All my bumps are in training, to be
Yeah.
honest. Although I'm very willing to bump people, but I've got to. There's not people aren't big enough to bump me on shows, unfortunately for them.
Yeah,
Well, there
well,
are some people, to be fair to them. There are some.
you mentioned a little bit a second ago about being embarrassed or not embarrassed but nervous about your first outing. So let's talk some stories here because my first entrance into a ring, I tripped over the top step coming up the stairs,
Jockmaster.
and then tripped over the middle rope getting into the ring. That is how I made my debut into professional wrestling in front of like 70 people. It was ridiculous.
At least they would have had something to remember.
Well, yeah, and I did too because it's just one of those stories that doesn't go away. We were talking to a ring announcer, Emily Taylor, out of Booker T's Fed, a while back, and she was talking about how nervous she was that I think she botched a name or something. I said, well, at least you didn't fall on your face twice getting into the ring. Like that's you got that going for you. When you were growing up, give me some of your influences as far as professional wrestling. Who were people that you watched on TV? And when did you fall in love with the actual aspect of the game?
So for me, my uncle always watched wrestling, but my first proper memory, I feel like I probably did watch it a little bit when I was like between the ages of 3 and 4, but I'm not like fully clear on that as a memory. The memory that sticks in my mind, I went to this wrestling show, so it was like an independent wrestling show, but it was in the 90s. They'd run shows in the UK pretending to be like the main guys in WWE, like The Rock, Stone Cold, Kane, Undertaker, and all that. And so I went to this show. I didn't know. I fully thought they were the real guys. But after watching that show, I was hooked then and wanted to always watch wrestling. So from 4 years old, that was the moment that sticks in my memory is when I properly got into wrestling, going to that wrestling show and just enjoying the action of it. Even, I thought it was the real Rock, I don't know how it didn't, because I've looked at the poster now. They don't look anything like them. But for me, that's how I got hooked on it.
Everybody has that moment. Devin, what was your moment when you got hooked onto professional wrestling?
So it's a two-part actually. It's quite a big one. But first and foremost, it was with a friend of mine in primary school. I don't know what you call it in the States, junior high.
Elementary.
Mate. Even then, yeah, I was probably about 9 or 10. And my friend bought in a sticker album. And it was a wrestling sticker album, and he showed me people like the Hart Foundation, Demolition, obviously Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior. And then within a month or two, my mum told me I was going to SummerSlam at Wembley. So that was my big intro into, it's a big one. That was my big intro into wrestling. I mean, the sticker albums were great. And then around, I think it was, the end of 91, because we got Sky TV. It's when Sky TV first came about. And Sky One was free, one of the channels on there, and that always had the wrestling on a weekend. I don't know, Casey, it's probably too thingy for you, but too long ago for you. I think you're quite a bit
I do remember when they had it on Sky One, just before it was around 2003, 2004, they transitioned it all to Sky Sports, because I remember seeing the adverts with Booker T on. Sky Sports.
Yeah, it was quite late.
It was on Sky One before that.
Pay-per-views were even free back then, or PMVs.
They were on Sky Sports 1 if you had Sky Sports, and then they'd be box office 1 month and Sky Sports 1 the other.
When they started paying for them, man. But yeah, so I started watching Superstars, I think it was, or Saturday Night Main Event and things like that. And then, my mum was like, what is this thing going on at Wembley, this SummerSlam? My dad was a unit driver for TV at the time. And I said, it's wrestling, but why? Oh, your dad's working on it. Oh, can I go? No, you're not allowed to go. And for ages, she was teasing me that my dad was going to be there. So maybe he could get autographs. And then she's like, no, you got tickets. And I was like, wow, I was 10. I mean, I was up in the gods, but man, it was amazing. Brett versus Bulldog. Yeah.
What a moment to be a part of.
My moment came in, I think this is definitely going to predate. It came in the 89. I remember being at a house show for the WWF. It's when Hogan and the Boss Man were doing a loop. And it was their match before they had it on pay-per-view. So they were trying all their stuff out. Hogan gets cuffed, takes a beating from the Boss Man. On his comeback, it rips the cuffs off. That was it. I tugged on my dad's shirt and said, I'm going to do that. That's what I want to do. And it was one of those moments that lives with us and it carries on because it does inspire us to, follow that dream of getting into the industry and breaking in and getting that opportunity, because the industry is full of them, especially right now. Independent wrestling is on fire everywhere.
Oh yeah.
When UKC decided that you're going to give it a go and you get into your training, did you do any research on various training schools or anything of that nature in your area, or what did that look like to you? How did you determine where you wanted to train at?
So just fast forward into like the current landscape in the UK. There are so many training schools now, so many really good ones as well. But if you go back to about 20, so I would have been around 2015, like when I was looking at the idea of it, but I just couldn't push myself to go. And so I knew there was one in Birkenhead, which is, so I live in Liverpool. It's not far from Liverpool. And there's one called All Star Wrestling. So I think that was run by Dean Olmark, who's a really great trainer, by the way. Really great technical wrestler if you've ever seen him wrestle. So there was that one. And then there was another one, which was the school I ended up going to, which is based in Runcorn. And the funny thing is, how I came across that one, which tells you about some of my eating habits when I was younger, is I was in my local chip shop, or chippy as we call it, but basically just a local takeaway. On the wall, there's a poster there saying, "Do you want to train to become a pro wrestler?" And I was like, of all places, my local chippy is not where I expect to find another school. So that was in Runcorn. And where I lived in Liverpool, there was a bus that went directly to it. Just one bus. It's about an hour on the bus, but I was like, you know what? Just one bus. What's stopping me? And I was just too nervous. And then eventually I just went, screw it, let's go. And then I went, and I went back every single week afterwards. But the first session, I was absolutely feeling it. I think it's the same with everyone. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't realize how much the ropes were going to hurt. I didn't realize how much the bumps were going to hurt. But I think the passion for it, even though I was aching and I was feeling it the next day, all I wanted to do was go straight back. So I don't regret it, and I'm glad I stuck to it, because here we are now.
Right. It's one of those things, man, that training for me, we've had so many conversations, and we talk about training on every show, and I hate to sound like I'm a broken record by saying this. Training back in the day versus more modern, like, it was needle in a haystack to find a decent school to train at, and even then, most of the time they were run by local promoters, and it was a way in, but you didn't have the options, and you didn't have as many opportunities to break into the business like now, more recent times, because, like you said, there's really good schools across, London, British, or fuck, I forgot the continent name. England. Jesus Christ. The UK. UK, especially now, that scene's blowing up like nobody's business. And it doesn't seem like there's a day that goes by that I don't see something for Brit wrestling within some form or fashion on social media. And to me, it's like it's almost the most perfect situation to be a fan, because there's so much really good stuff going on everywhere. And in your situation, when you get through your training, actually, what was, outside of the bumps and the ropes, what was something that was more challenging for you to have to dive into on the training aspect of it?
So I was kind of lucky, because I was already, like, I did like trampolines and stuff when I was a kid. I had my own trampoline, and I'd kind of wrestle and do backflips and all those kind of things. So I was kind of naturally athletic anyway. So that made picking up a lot of the stuff quite easy. But sometimes it was the simplest of things I would struggle with. So, like, for example, doing a handstand roll. Literally, your handstand rolls up and then you roll through. I would just it would just be a roll to me. There was no handstand at all, just a roll. It took me a few years to actually get my head around that, because I was always scared of landing on my head. And it actually was in a session with Joseph Connors. He was doing a seminar, And he was going through that, and he was explaining to me, just hold yourself up there, and then don't be afraid to land on your head, because you're going to naturally tuck. Like, it's an instinct, because I've been wrestling that long, but I didn't realise that would be a thing. And then we did that, and instantly my handstands got a lot better. So that was probably one of the things that I struggled with a lot, of all things. But running the ropes was okay. It was a bit confusing with me steps at first, though, because you, like, I don't know, run like I had happy feet, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Literally running like about 10 steps to get from each end of the ring, where it should take about 3 or 4.
But, look at you now. You talk about handstands being a thing, and now you're doing, front handsprings into the ropes, bouncing off the ropes, and doing odds and ends like that. Very athletic stuff for a guy your size.
Yeah, well, that was one thing I remember a few sessions in. I said to the coach, saying, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to do the Tajiri handspring back elbow. And, like, he looked at me like I was crazy. But and he did say, like, well, if you work for it, you just work on your handstands. I never thought I'd be able to do it. And then I was able to just do it. Like, the way I do it, it's more on, I use my head to kind of stabilize me as I do it. So it's more of a headstand. But I've noticed I can do it faster that way. And then just got the hang of it. And then now it's a thing. So it's good to bust that out every so often.
Devlin, you did your training over in the UK. You got any training questions for KC?
I mean, mine was honestly so long ago. But I mean, one thing I do remember that they had us, the bumps, man. I was as Casey was saying, like, those hurt, man. And obviously you watch it when you watch wrestling. Obviously they're so well trained and so well disciplined. Obviously it still hurts though, but obviously the emphasis there in the ring. But when you try and do a bump, and you're going around in your circle of guys and girls, and you're doing front bumps and then back bumps, so painful. But one of the things I recall they had us doing, which is how I got injured, was a whole big melee at the end, like a rumble, in the ring. Do they still do things like that? I mean, you're laughing, so I probably do. But do they still do things like that now?
I've done the rumble, but I know some places do. But we did one where, have you ever done the Superman drill? So basically, you'll have one guy in, everyone will get in, and you'll just knock everyone off. Like you're Stone Cold, you've just come out, bam, bump one person, bam, bump the next. You bump every single person until they all roll out and you stand tall. I saw it. It's a chaotic drill, but I always found that so much fun. Because who doesn't want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin in 2001 coming to the ring and stunning everyone? Who doesn't want to do that?
Oh, of course. No, I never got to my intro to that with this melee was, I wasn't sure what was going on. It was my first thing. And then this guy that was being the ref was sort of saying to me, try and get into the ring. And I'm going, what? And he's going, try and get into the ring. And I'm going, I can't hear you. And he's like, he starts screaming like, God damn, try and get into the ring so that I'm distracted. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then by that point, 3 other people had tried to get into the ring, and I was like, oh. And then I was told to try and do Hurricane Rana off this guy that was about the size of Giant Gonzalez. And then he was supposed to catch me in the Hurricane Rana and powerbomb me. All right. So this is what, and
this is in training.
This was something he said, like, try and do something. So I jumped, like, he caught me. I didn't even jump, like, he was that tall. I kind of stepped out with my foot. So it was basically step by step. It wasn't full flow. So as we've done that, he's gone to powerbomb me. He's dropped me awkwardly. And so this is basically where my last ever kind of like thing. Like, I had to go to the hospital, but it was something separate. When I was at the hospital, they found a growth in my shoulder blade. And it was growing towards my spine. So I had to have surgery. So I was out for a while. And that's what I'm saying. But by the time I came back, they'd moved to Southampton or somewhere like that. So it was a shame, man. But yeah, but just quickly as we're talking about this, about how much there is going on in the UK now, as opposed to what there was previously. For me, I'm actually finding that very difficult where I live. And I actually said this to Tommy not long ago. In London, there's loads of stuff. Where I now live, which I used to live in London, I now live further south. There's nothing here. And I mean, literally nothing. And I don't drive. So, I mean, I guess in a way it's my own fault. But it's like, there's nothing around me. Literally, and I keep begging on Twitter. I keep going to social media, like, anyone in the BritWrest scene that feels like putting a school where I am or opening a promotion where I am, I'm happy to come along and help. But it's like, I want to get back into it so bad, even if it's like a referee, commentator, manager. Like, the way I feel now, I'm too old.
Never too old, man. You're never too old. I know someone who started in his late 30s. He started mid 40s now. Never too early, never too early, never too late. Well, maybe too early, but never too late.
Well, no, I feel like I'm better. I mean, even if I can get back into it in terms of being talent in the ring, but I feel kind of my talents would more be led now towards commentating or managerial. But even then, it's so difficult. And I keep Googling like wrestling academies in my area. Nothing. It's like if I could travel as much to London, I'd be all right. But yeah.
So London is the closest to you?
To me, yeah.
I'm not saying it's close, but the closest you've got.
Yeah, London, or I think maybe the South Coast, but there's still quite distance on trains and things like that. So yeah,
I'm trying to think if I know any. I don't really know. Most of the ones I know are either Northwest, Midlands, and then London. And there's one in. I think New Wave have one in South Wales as well.
Yeah, I mean, as I said to Tommy, I think the thing I've got to do is get a car, start driving. Maybe then I can.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Tommy probably says the same about me as well. He's sick of driving me everywhere.
Well, I mean, you get the chauffeur treatment. It's in your contract, brother. I thought you realized that.
Yeah, of course.
So, listen, let me ask you this. When you got through training, we talked a little bit about being nervous for your first battle royal. I look back and I try and do a little bit of research when we have people come on. What can you tell me about KC Payne rocking some camouflage and a tank top and some glasses back in the early years of Mr. Payne?
That already sounds like October 2018 now.
It's maybe. I brought it up to Tommy. I was like, I was doing I was looking back and just seeing what you've done, right? Seeing some of those things you've done. And I saw the tag team, and I was like, he's rocking the Dudley Boys right now. And Tommy's like, be sure to ask him about it. So this is courtesy of one Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, so that was with my partner at the time was Gino Ramsey. He's still wrestling as well. He wrestles at Wrestle Island. So we came together after we had the singles match against each other, and our trainer was very high on the match. And he thought the idea of putting us together would be a really cool tag team because you got two big, well, I was going to say big bastards. Can we swear on this?
Yeah, absolutely. We're not made for children. I don't know.
Oh, you got two big bastards who are just going to dominate. Basically, like when you put, anytime when like Kane and Undertaker would team up, it's game over for everyone else. So we did that, and then we were leading into so we became tag team champions at the show before, which was in like September, and then our first defense it would have been October. I think it was just before Halloween. So we thought we were going to dress up Halloween. What should we do? We said, well, why don't we do the Dudleys? So we edited the intro of our song, so when it gets to the drop, it cuts to the Dudleys theme. And for our entrance, we thought, we'll just walk out because we were like, for us doing the Dudleys, we got to put someone through a table.
Oh yeah.
So we were like, should we just walk out with the table, or should we walk out, do the whole pose, act like we forgot something, and then come back? Because it was a training show. No one's expecting a table at a training show. So we thought, we'll walk out first. Oh, wait, there, we forgot. I don't think we forgot. And went back out in the pop when we came back out with the table. For the Battle Royal, all even. The funny thing is, though, we could walk out with this table. Then what do? We put the table to the side, get in the ring, and start the Battle Royal. So like it doesn't make sense, but in the end we used it in the end because after we won the battle royal, we got attacked by the former tag team champions who were in that match as well. So they got the jump on us, and then we got the better of them, and then we powerbombed them through a table because it has to be done.
Yeah, you send the fans home happy, right? Like that was a thing. I'm gonna try and find that, see if there's any footage of that, just because I feel like I have to see it now.
I'd like to see that now.
I'll have to ask Gino. Gino might have it because I don't know if I don't know if Tom mentioned it when he said our training school closed in 2020 and a lot of the footage got deleted.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it might be about somewhere. I'm sure one of us might have it on our mobile or something.
Yeah.
But if I do manage to come across it, I will send it your way.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to see it. I
know I've got the photos of it because if you think the photos are on my Instagram actually.
Yep.
And there's a photo as Gino's powerbombing Jordan Jones through the table, and the look of concern on my face for Jordan's safety as he's getting powerbombed, that you can't hide it. As much as I meant to cover up, like I was like.
It was a moment.
And it went fine, but I was just thinking, because we'd never done anything like that before, so I was just very terrified for him when I shouldn't be, because I'm meant to be helping with this move. But you can probably see the worry in my face as he's about to get as he's getting powerbombed through this table.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and look for that. I saw the picture of you guys posing with the belts, and I was like, "This is classic right here. This is just classic."
Yeah, with the glasses.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, things like that happen though. I've seen guys when I'm watching wrestling on TV, and you see big guys that are like, been around for years, and you see some of the looks, and you can tell they're genuine looks when certain moves happen, and it's like, all right, he was concerned for that. Like, it was, it definitely happened. You definitely see that kind of break from K. You definitely see it. It's not. It's not something I think obviously I've never really been full on in an industry like you guys have, so I wouldn't know, but I think it happens to everyone once.
Yeah, you'll have your moments. You find ways to cover up now, but I think it was also because it was they'd never really done too many. They didn't push the envelope too much because it was in a training show. So the fact that we ended up doing that, and it's the first time I've ever put someone through a table. Technically, I was kind of just there guiding it, but I was just looking. I'm like, please don't get injured, please, because it was one of those, the little pasting tables, and the problems with them is if you don't take the metal things off on the side, it's possible they could get caught in that, like the skin could get pinched type of thing. Yeah. And we were just thinking, make sure we just put them through the table safely.
I mean, you have problems with those tables
fine,
you have problems with those tables doing the actual job they're for. So
yeah. Well, you guys should probably know this because I'm pretty sure one of your streams you watched the on the stream with Tom, you watched our tables match against the Freak Show with those pasting tables, and Tommy taking about half an hour to do the table.
Yeah,
to the point where the referee had to help him.
Yep, no, it's that I get it 100%, man. When you're in your earlier years in your earlier career, like you're 7-8 years deep at this point, confidence it builds, right? Like it does. It doesn't. You just don't get in the ring and have this exude the confidence of being in front of people and all that jazz. At what point in your early career did the light click and the switch was flipped and you say, I got this now. Like this is something. I thought I knew what I was doing, but now I know what the hell I'm doing.
So as I said, I started in 2016. I started wrestling on shows from 2017. So going from that point, I'd probably say around 2020 is where I first started feeling confident, just before COVID. Because I was wrestling a few big matches on the training shows, and then also I was getting set to wrestle in Belgium as well. So I ended up going over to Belgium just because I think it was about a week before everything got locked down, a week or two before everything got locked down. So I got to wrestle in Belgium. I just felt like they were going to the next level now. I've wrestled abroad. I'm getting asked to wrestle at different places. This is my breakout moment. And that's where I felt a bit more confidence. I think another thing in wrestling as well that helps with confidence, but more just feeling comfortable in the ring, is accepting that things can go wrong in terms of planning. You can plan a match as detailed as you want, and guaranteed 99% of the time, not every part of that match will go perfectly. There'll be something in there, something like, say, you forgot a spot or whatnot, or something like that. And it's just knowing that, like, when you were first started, if you were to forget something, you just freeze and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do next. You cannot do that on the show. Where now it's like, forget something, there's so many ways to cover up, because for some reason in your head you think, oh no, we've messed up here. But at the same time, the crowd don't know what you're going to do. And it's when you realise that, you're like, they don't know that we were going to switch to this move that we didn't plan. Do you know what I mean? There's always ways to cover up, and knowing that, and accepting that, something could go wrong, but you can cover it up, no problem. That takes a lot of the stress out of getting out there. And the most relaxed I usually am is when I'm actually wrestling the match. The planning can be a bit stressful because you're trying to remember what you're going to do. When I'm out there actually doing the wrestling and doing the match, that's probably the most comfortable I am, because I know anywhere I get lost, I just talk to them wrestling. Communication is key in pro wrestling. If that isn't pulling the curtain back too much.
I mean, I think everyone at our table's grown and understands the nature of the business. Not to call us all smart, but I was in it for 5 or 6 years before I took a hiatus, if you will. But in my time, there was the moment that I realized that It wasn't the first world title that I won. Again, this is regional stuff in Alabama. Let's be fair. It's not like it's a predominant
They still
worldwide
count
stuff.
it. Put it on the
Right.
resume.
Well, it was my second. That was the moment that I realized that everything clicked, and right after that, I worked a tour with the Rock and Roll Express for about 2 weeks.
Oh,
I
nice.
wrestled Ricky and Robert for 2 weeks straight with Buddy Landale. It was great. It was Ricky who was the one that really pulled me in and was like, slow down, listen. Basically, his words for me were shut up and listen. And he wasn't just talking about to him in the matches. He was talking in general about the crowd, because the crowd obviously plays
Yeah.
a lot into what you're doing, and getting the crowd invested in what you're doing. And I say that to say, looking at a lot of Violent Gentleman stuff. Before we go there, let me backtrack. Let me ask you this before we get to the Violent Gentleman stuff, because where I was going is, as far as having the interaction, is the interaction VGS has with the crowd, whether they're playing babyface or heel. I've only seen you guys as heel. But before we get to the VGS stuff, how do you and Tommy come cross paths? How do you guys know each other? And what was the original concept of the Violent Gentleman Society?
So, Tommy, I think, first started training around 2019, but I did see him a few shows before that because he was raising money for the Hemophilia Society. He had his own brand for it, and he did like a collaboration with Brian Adelson, who was also a wrestler, still wrestling today as well. He was a wrestler, and that's how I first met him. And then all of a sudden, he was starting training. All of a sudden after that, and then so I spoke to him a bit more then, and like. The cool thing was as well is his son was also a big fan of mine. Like there's a picture that he showed me recently from a show in probably early 2020, maybe late 2019, and it's with his son, and he was like that was just before Tom's debuted as well, which is really a cool thing now knowing that how our paths crossed years later. So as I said, Tom started wrestling like late 2019, and then post COVID we were both training at Claw. And that was when Tom and Christy asked me about joining VGS, or Violent Gentleman Society. I don't think we planned on we probably did plan on abbreviating, I don't know. But yes, so at first I wasn't really too keen on the idea. Not like, it's just for me as, I didn't, because he sold it to me a bit like more like a Peaky Blinders type thing. And I felt like I didn't fit that type of mold. I didn't fit, like if you've seen Peaky Blinders, it's, I think it's set in like the 20s and 30s and stuff like that. And I just didn't think that type of look would work for me. But then I was thinking, well, if we made this our own thing, and also at that time I was only just getting back into training because of COVID and everything, and it wasn't looking like I was going to be getting any bookings anywhere anytime soon. At that point, I was kind of I don't think I got any bookings till the end of 2021. But they came through VGS. So at first I was like, okay, well, maybe it's best to give this a chance, because Tom was honest with me from the whole point for him, because even though he's presented as like the founder of VGS, and like when we are the beginning of our run at Wrestle Island, he was kind of presented as more of the leader, which is, given he was the least experienced out of the group, it sounds a bit bizarre. But Tom's priority was saying like he saw something in me and Christy that we deserve more opportunities, and he thought if he could get us together and get us to do this will build opportunities for us, and it will put us on a platform, and it will build us up. And if you skip to where we are today, he was right. He was spot on. Mm-hmm. But VGS from the beginning was very different to VGS as of now. Have you seen the original VGS promo video?
I have. Not the promo video. I've seen the original VGS with you and Tommy in the older style attire. Versus, and I got a chance to sit down and watch it evolve. At Wrestle Island. Yeah, I got to watch it all evolve. Like we watched 8 or 9 matches of you guys, and I got to see the transition. And I 100% agree with you. I don't think that the 20 style gear fit the modern time. However, I think that once all of you got together, and this is where I can say, like, I really have an appreciation for Tommy. Because, again, talking to him on his particular program, Tommy is not thinking about himself. And in a business that's very self-serving and very selfish to a degree. Like, it's rare that you find a guy that is kind of looking out for other people over himself. Like, like it. And to hear you say, like, that was the design of this, like, and where you guys are now, it absolutely has worked. 100%. And I, just want to, that's the last time I'm gonna put Tommy over. Tommy, fuck you for the rest of the show. But I really feel that he's genuine, and how do you appeal to the fans? They can see through a lot of bullshit. You appeal to them by being genuine and authentic. And putting you and Christy together was the first piece of a much bigger puzzle that is turning into something pretty spectacular on the indie scene over there.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just because we started as a trio, and it was more like Tommy would do the singles, and me and Christy would be the tag team. So the funny thing is, I teamed with him before his own brother did. So take that, Pud.
Can I ask about? Sorry, can I just ask about that? So, because I've literally been binging Infamous recently, and I was saying I've been watching Pud's evolution from obviously where he was to where he is now. I don't want to give too much away for people that haven't seen that, but obviously they know he's obviously quintessential now with Christy. So, but the evolution for him joining VGS was methodical, and it was obviously meticulously thought out, and it was, the way it built, especially, and with Stacey Rose as well, that whole kind of thing. But now, what Tommy showed a few of us a while back, which was where VGS was formed with him, Christy, and yourself, that seemed to be a bit, I think you came down, I believe, to help two people, and then you turned.
Yeah, because I was a babyface at the island before then. Like, I'd only made a few appearances, but people knew who I was, and they knew that I was a babyface. So, thought it was a good way to get me in and have it make sense.
It was. No, I liked it. I liked what I saw there. I mean, that turn reminded me of something that happened. A guy called Rampage Brown. And
I've wrestled Rampage Brown, not in a proper match, but in a rumble, and it was cool. And we had a good exchange. I was expecting him to just I am not taking nothing from you, mate. But no, me and him had a good back and forth, and he sold for me, and I'm very grateful for that. It was a great moment.
He's from up your way as well, Leeds, isn't he? So he's from sort of not too far away. I don't know how far Leeds in Liverpool. Probably quite far, actually.
Probably about an hour and a half.
But
that's short for American standards. That's short distance.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
But he turned on, I believe it was Eddie Dennis and Mark Andrews with the Screw Indie Wrestling team. He joined them, and the way the turn happened was very slightly similar to what you did. I thought it was awesome. I love looking back on heel and face turns, and I thought it was brilliant. But yours seemed to be a lot quicker. I mean, or was there was there a progress to it, or did it just happen?
So what we were told by the promoter at the wrestling, they wanted to, because I was wondering that, because we knew they wanted to bring VGS in, but because I was already there, we were saying, do you want us together straight away, or do you want to build to it in a kind of way? The other thing we'd already released the social media video. If you go onto Tommy's Twitter, it'll be the first thing. He's still got a pin. Yeah. So if you do want to check that out, it'll be on. And that video, so it was kind of like Tommy first, then Tommy and Christy, and then it pans to the three of us. So people who paid attention to that, bear in mind, our following wouldn't have been as big back then, so we could kind of get away with a lot of people not knowing that I was going to be with them type of thing. But we thought at the same time, because it's only a matter of time before people are going to click on, we need to do this quite quick.
Yeah.
So the best way to, instead of just having me with them, the best thing. Sorry.
So the video went out before the actual.
Yes. So the video went out. I think that's what we put as the official foundation. We basically formed obviously before that through conversation and planning, but that video went out on the 19th of July. So we classed that as our anniversary. So later on this year, it'll come to our 3rd anniversary, which we've got a cool merchandise coming off of that. So maybe Chris, that's the T-shirt you want to get.
Sold.
It's I'll give you the clue. It will be it is based on the Beatles. So that's all I'm giving you.
I'm on there.
I'm there.
Sold.
I'm there.
Take my money.
Going back to the promo thing, so yeah, because that was already out, and it was about, I think, just over a month later was the Wrestle Island show. So we thought, even though we thought it's only going to be a matter of time before more people know about that video. So if we take it longer and longer, people are going to know what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? They're already expecting it. So we thought if we do it a bit quicker, it'll be more unexpected. And to be fair, it was. The crowd, they were pissed. And I don't know if Tommy showed you the little boy putting two fingers up at us.
Yes.
I heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
You know you're over when you can get a child to flip you off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like,
And the first show after that, when we had the match, which you have seen, I don't know if you know when we do our entrance and I've got like a flask in my hand and like squat down with it as you see them do the entrance. I don't know if you could read what it says. It said Island Fans Tears. Because they were fuming from that last time, so we were like, well, why don't we just have a flask? Because we wanted to do like all bar stuff, like it was kind of around the theme.
Yeah.
So why not have a flask that says Island Fans Tears on it? Because they're going to be crying about what we're about to do.
That's brilliant. That's great.
I mean, VGS has hit the scene overseas, and I think that it has a lot to do. Well, there's no denying it has a lot to do with the commitment that you guys have made together, along with Stacey Rose, to really push this faction. And I truly think that there are a lot of people out on the indies right now that should look at the storytelling behind the group, because it's not just a thrown together thing. We start with your turn, and you have kids flipping you off in the crowd. You then got you guys bring Chrissy in, and you get the Pud story that underlays kind of all of this, as it's it's kind of a background piece until it's the primary piece. The storytelling that the group has told in general in that first year to year and a half, I believe that's how long the Pud story was. The whole aspects with all the
I think it was like just under a year. The first show was in June 2022, and I think the turn happened in March 2023. When we do get to talk about that, there's a cool thing how that show was meant to go, and there was a few things that had to change because of injuries and other things, but it made it work better. But I'll go into that when you guys want to get up to that part of the story.
Well, let's get into it. I mean, we know that Stacey's comes in as a part of I can't remember. I think it was a 6-man tag. Pud.
It was a 6-man tag. It was made to last and Pud against me, Tommy, and Christy, and I'm sure she ends up low blowing Leon Gray to kind of cement the turn. She wasn't really with them, but she was more just like ringside, because like she was she was kind of like not with them, but kind of she I'm trying to think of a way to explain this. She was affiliated with Made to Last in a bit of a way. Like she wasn't really a heel or a face or not on, but she was presented as like she kind of she's not no trouble, she's just there. And then it ended up being, hang on a minute, she unzipped the jacket to reveal a VGS top, and then low blow to Leon Gray, and that leads into the finish. And it's like, now we've got Stacey Rose. Now we've gone from a 3 to a 4. And that's all going on while the Pud story has already started, because the Pud story started the show before that. And one thing, have you watched the first match where it was me and Christy versus Pud and Pitbull?
I'm not 100%.
I think was that Infamous or...
Yeah, the first Infamous show, Run Corner's Infamous thing was called.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, so at the end of the match, if you notice, Christy takes off his armband and throws it to Pud.
Yeah, and Pud.
And he throws it on the floor. Pud picks it up, puts it in his trunks.
Yeah.
Now, if we fast right the way forward to when this turn happens, so first of all, the match was meant to be. It was meant to be me and Tommy going up against Made to Last, but because I'd got an injury a couple of weeks before, I had to get surgery. It wasn't anything major, but it was enough to where I couldn't take any bumps.
So that was legit.
So we thought, okay, well, we'll milk my injury a little bit. That's why I was out on crutches. I didn't need crutches at all. It was more of like a skin type of thing that was just not worth risking getting the infections and stuff like that. So I had to just not wrestle. So we did it that way, made out I was seriously injured and stuff. But also at the same time, we made it obvious I was milking it, because there'd be times where I'd get involved and then start walking normally, and the whole crowd looking at me, and then I'd start limping again.
The sell.
But in hindsight, I think if the match, because the turn was going to happen where Christie was going to get involved in the match, Pud would then stop him. It ended up being Christie was in the match, which made it even better. Because when they went to do it, so I think the referee was distracted, or was he? No, the referee was taken out. And as soon as he went down, I run right up to Christie, give him the crutch. Before he can even get to swing it, Pud runs in. Bear in mind, this is just after, because they had a match earlier that show between the two of them. So a lot of people probably thought that, because they hugged it out after. So they would have thought, oh, that's the end of their troubles. And then when he comes back out, and he's like, no, you're not doing that. Pud's still on, he's on the side of justice. He's still one of the good guys, supposedly. And then he just takes a look at his brother, takes a look at Ryan Thorne, and then just turns around and belts him with it. And the crowd's reaction from that was insane. None of us could have imagined how that was. We wanted it to obviously get that reaction. But the fact that it went more than what we were imagining was just insane. That's one of the biggest reactions we've had.
Yeah, that heat was crazy. But I
think having Christie in the match made it better for that, because then they hit their finish and it led to Tom getting the pin. Having Christie involved, instead of him just interfering and then Pud interfering and then it happens, it made more sense, because now Pud's seeing Christie taking things too far in this match and goes, no, not happening. And then you see the 10. I think it was very well executed, and I think me being injured happened to be a blessing in disguise for how that was pulled off.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know whether that was a work, whether there was any legit injury, whether, obviously I figured...
There was for an, what's it called? When you get a cyst and then you got to get it removed type of thing.
Yeah.
It was like that, and then I had the dressing on, so a plaster, the thing. It was bandaged up, and I couldn't really risk getting it infected. It was only going to be 4 weeks out. I might as well take 4 weeks out and not risk it.
So when he did the definitely when he had the armband thing, the thing I noticed
when Pud had the armband in his trunks afterwards. So after that turn happened, he pulls it out of his trunks. There's that same armband from the very first show, and then he puts it on.
Long-term storytelling, but he had an armband previously, and I can't remember what it said. He had one that said Pud at one point.
Yeah, he had Pud when he wrestled with Made to Last.
I think people that had seen him pocket one before were maybe thinking, is that going to be the VGS armband? Because I think he had that one, because I was wondering if it was when I was watching it. And I thought he had two at that point between the pocket and the actual revealing it. I thought he had a Pud and another one, but it might have just been the Pud one. But I think that was very well done, because it made people think. And the longevity of the story there, from when he kind of just slips it in to giving absolutely nothing away for shows after that, subsequent shows. It was as if that didn't happen, as if it had been nixed, and then suddenly he pulls it out again, and the elation on Stacey Rose's face.
Payoff there.
Because
the idea was both me and Stacey looked at them and went, "What? We didn't know about this. We didn't know this whole turn happened after the whole in a story wise. We gave him that armband, and he took, and he may have been thinking about it, but he didn't show any signs of going to join. After Christie and Pud worked out their issues from just going to war with each other, that mutual respect and basically Pud more looking at his family that way and putting his family first, I would say, is kind of what the motivation in a story sense. And that's why everyone else, Tommy was surprised, me and Stacey were surprised, because we weren't in on it. It was only between the two brothers. And Pud made his decision there and then. And it looks like it's worked out for him. I'm not going to lie.
Let's go back into when this actually happens, because I want to try and get your perspective. Like you said, the crowd despised it; they hated it. But as a performer and as a talent, internally, when you get that kind of reaction, being a part of the story, internally you've got to be going, "That's the win. Yes." Now we got them. Now, as Flair used to say, now we go to school. Now we can have some real fun. How did you feel in that moment when all that happened, being there and listening for yourself?
I think the way it happened as well, because normally you get the reactions, but you also like anticipate certain reactions with whatever you plan to do. You expect it to go a certain way, but the way I expected the reaction to go, I thought that they'd be mad and it would go off, but I didn't think it would go off to that extent. Even I was thinking in my head while the reaction goes up, oh my god, we've really got a lot of heat here. Like this couldn't have come off any better. That's why I think it was a blessing in disguise, me not being in the match, because it made sense for Pud to make the turn to help his brother, then to help me, or to help Tommy. It made more sense for them to do it that way.
I absolutely agree. I want to talk to you for a minute about being the big man. Like in this group, first of all, you guys are all young. Pud is 18 now.
Just turned 18, yeah.
Chrissy's mid-20s, early 20s.
20 or 21, even though he looks old as hell.
Yeah,
Not old as hell. He looks about like late 20s, but it's just puberty must have hit him like a lariat, I think.
Oh, it's okay. We don't judge on this channel. But it's just one of those situations when I see you work, I like to react to things that we're watching without seeing them. So when I would see you get in the ring, it almost is like you're working the big man, little man every time you step foot through the ropes. How do you, as a performer, you're 6'5", and you've got you clearly got some power behind you. How do you work safely with some of these smaller guys? Because sometimes you may not know your own strength. You are fucking KC Payne. Let's be fair.
To be honest with you, I feel quite confident. For me, like as a big guy, I should be hard hitting and all that type of thing. When I first was wrestling, all I would hear as feedback from anyone when I was first was lay it in, because I was scared of hitting people and I was super gentle until I figured out the right places to hit, the right way to connect. And then now it's never really been an issue for me, even to the point. So I wrestled a match at WrestleMania recently against Lance Rivera. Not sure, guys, if you're familiar with him, but check him out. He's an amazing wrestler, really talented guy. Honestly, really easy to work with. But part of that match we were doing, for the cutoff, I caught his dive and I was gonna do a snake eyes to him on the apron. Now, when I threw him, we were a little bit too far out. We still caught the apron, but just slightly. Not enough to where the crowd were going to gasp from it. So Lance, being the crazy person he is, he then calls to me, body slammed me on the floor. Bear in mind, we don't have mats. Solid floor. And I'm just like, nope, fuck you, not happening. And he just goes, it's fine. Well, okay. So the fact that someone like that trusts, and bear in mind, I've known Lance for a good few years, in all fairness, but the fact that he trusts me to not hurt him, but in doing slamming him literally on solid wooden floor, that's part where I feel like that's confidence in me, that people trust me to look after their body, basically. Like, it's a really proud thing. So to kind of answer your question, now I don't feel like I have an issue in regards to being scared to hit. I feel like I know the right places to hit and the right amount of force needed to make it effective, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I get it 100%. Because there are moments where, Leslie, it looks like you're laying it in, but to know that you're safe with it.
Sometimes you do lay it in.
Well, yeah. Let's be fair, especially if they have it coming. Am I right?
It's a chop fest.
Oh, dude, I'm not a fan of the trading chops. To me, that's what spot wise. I'm just, why are we doing that? Let's not trade them yet.
Yeah, I think it's because it's guaranteed reaction usually. When people hear that, getting the noise onto a chest, everyone goes, oh, or you either get a woo or you get a oh. Mm-hmm. It always garners a reaction. And I think that's why it's always a good go-to. But if you're on the receiving end of it, it's not a good time.
Fuck that. Over the last,
love watching it, but never taking them.
Over the last, coming up on 3 years with VGS, give me some of your favorite moments, stuff that your involvement 100%. Like, what are your top moments thus far as this story between all of you is kind of unfolding?
So I think the cool thing that we've done with VGS is that everything that's kind of happened to us has been organic. Nothing's been forced, if you know what I mean. We didn't force the idea of putting Pud with Christy because of the brothers. We thought we'll make a story of it. That was over a year. We didn't just throw Stacey with us because we want someone else. We made a way for it, for it to happen, for it to make sense. Also, another promotion we wrestle for is Kingdom of Wrestling. Now, Stacey Rose, she manages Lance Rivera there usually, but like she was known for managing him first. So there's always the potential for us to have a story there at another promotion, because like Stacey's with us at Infamous and OTP, but not at Wrestle Island or Kingdom. So, but there are ways to tie it in because of the Lance link. If we're feuding with Lance and she's in the middle, you can lead to the turn there. But I'm getting ahead of myself anyway. We're talking about what we have done, not what we're going to do. So, how we started out, as I said, with the three of us, it was kind of like, it was weird at first because we didn't know what to expect. Like them two were in dress shirts and pants, and then my first match with them was in a dress shirt and all. It didn't feel like it was, it didn't feel like it was a fit for us. But then we organically changed. It wasn't like, okay, cool, strip it off, new gimmick. It was like we developed it and we changed little things. We started coming out with a flag, which ended up being this. I don't know why. You see flags everywhere now. It's such a cool thing. And we just gradually transitioned everything. It wasn't, nothing was ever rushed, because I feel like if you rush things, that's where it doesn't come across as authentic.
Right.
And with every member, with Stacey, it was organic. With Pud, it was organic, a year-long build. And now you got the five of us. But also the cool thing is we also do our own things, where you have Christy and Pud doing their thing, me and Tommy doing our thing. And then you have Stacey managing either of us, depending on the situation. So we've made VGS gone from just a group to where we're also multiple units that can work everywhere, and we wrestle differently no matter the combination. Sometimes you'll see tag teams that have the same tag moves no matter the combination. If people say if there's three of them, the same tag moves regardless. We wrestle differently every combination. If it's me and Christy, we will wrestle differently. If it's me and Tommy, we'll wrestle differently. If it's Christy and Pud, they'll wrestle differently. Every combination is unique, and that's the good thing for the crowd, because they don't know what to expect, because, as I said, it's a different combination each time, and we will change our moves up. We will not do the same moves depending on the combination, so it makes it more special every time you get each group that you'll see us competing. Sorry, that was quite a mouthful.
No. It's perfectly fine, because it actually just took your answer there. This is why I say we don't fucking rehearse anything. This is why I like having organic conversations. You would think that would be a huge benefit. To see, if you guys are working collectively at Wrestle Kingdom and OTP and elsewhere, if you were to get outside bookings outside of that, let's say you and Tommy get booked in a Fed, you're showing up with your VGS stuff, and if they live under a bridge and don't know who you are promoter wise, then like that's an opportune time to say, oh well, this is what we've done, and we're moving some needles in some places because business is up. That seems like that would be like a huge blessing and a big benefit, especially between the five of you. Actually, I'm going to say between the six of you, because let's be fair, the flag needs to be an honorary VGS member at this point.
Honorary member.
So,
yeah, the flag's become a big part of the original idea for the flag. Was literally just when we'd beat someone down, we were going to put the flag over them. You know what I mean? Like kind of symbol of like, that was our thing. If you've been targeted by VGS, you get the flag put over you after we've laid you out. Another thing we had was, it was called the Wall of Inevitability. Now, to be fair, it never really made shows, but it was an idea that we had. And it was every target that we've taken out, we'd have a picture of them, stamp the VGS logo on them, they go on the wall.
Oh, that would have been great.
But it's still an idea we might get off the ground in future, but it's just something that it was an idea we haven't come to yet. But with the flag, it's just become its own entity now. We see flags everywhere. We've got the mini flags, we've got quintessential flags. It's just a cool idea that no one else was doing. It's become our thing. It's cool that people associate us with having a flag.
I mean, when you're doing something right, you're doing something right? Like that's facts. And right now, with professional wrestling being where it's at, where everything is booming and everything in all different directions, especially on the independent circuit, and things over in Britain are heating up as well. Let's be perfectly fair for those watching in the States. Like, you guys have a lot of really good fucking things going on. With VGS, and I say really good things, you put out, and don't mean to put you on the spot here, I guess it was last month. Where are we at? We're in May. I have to keep it all straight, right? Because I do way too much. You put out this promo, and I forget what the show was for. It was a video promo. It had to have been last month. It's been within the last.
It was last month. I'm guessing it was for TNT because I've done a couple of promos for TNT in April, so I'm guessing it's either going to be
I don't
the
know.
promo on PL Dotson or the promo on MVK.
I don't know who it was on, but it was on my feed, and I got a chance to really listen to it, and I retweeted it, and I was like, "This is a home run." It was a really solid promo. What point in time in your career did you get comfortable with speaking? Because that is a piece of the business that some people just never really get quite comfortable behind the microphone. When did you connect with the getting over the fear of public speaking or bombing in a promo? And if you have bombed something, how did you recover it?
I would feel, to be fair, promos was something that was definitely a weak point for me, if I'm being honest. First couple of years of wrestling, when you would have promo class, I was dreading it. But then after a few years, I'd get a little bit more to where it's like I'm not embarrassed to stand up in front of everyone. Because you'd feel embarrassed because like the way we do it is everyone would be sat there, you just get in the ring, you got a minute, cut the promo, whatever, you cut it on whatever you want. And very nerve-wracking, but once I got used to it, I found I was more confident with it. But to be fair to me, I haven't cut many promos. I don't think I've cut many promos on shows. I think I've cut 2, and they were very brief. But at the same time, as they were brief for what they needed. Like, I'm just going with... Tommy does most of the promos in our group, but nowadays it's starting to change now where like I'm starting to do more promos so people get to see that I'm more than just a big guy who can't talk. So I feel like it's more recently that I've kind of come into my own for that, to be honest. It was just getting used to my delivery and how I want to come across. I didn't want to just be like a raging guy. I didn't also want to be... Like with Tommy, he's very similar. I think he said it himself. He's very similar to like Jake the Snake, the way he talks. Like every word, you're hanging on every word of what Tommy says. Like he doesn't have to shout to get it across. Mm-hmm. For me, my style's a bit more. I wouldn't say I'm shouty, but mine's a bit more firm. But also, I kind of just address whatever I'm addressing first, and then I will build it up. You'll see me get more angry as it goes on, or more intense would probably be a more appropriate word. And I feel like that's more of a recent thing that I've got more confident with, because a lot more promotions, after them seeing me do 1 or 2 promos, they want me to do promos for them because they can see that I'm capable of it. So I think it was something that I need to showcase, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. I could see in the earlier days, I think I even said it on one of the live streams, like Payne doesn't need to talk. His job is to come in here and wreck house. Like you're the big guy, you're the heavy, you're the guy that would be, if I'm, the dastardly heel, like I'm tagging you in and putting you in front. So you got to get through him, and then maybe you get to me. But as you evolve as a performer, and as you evolve, as a person in the industry, that specific promo, and I wish I could remember the opponent, but I'm fairly positive it was a TNT show. I talk about believability, right, and authenticity. That was a very believable promo. Like I bought in, and I'm very hard to buy in on just a simple segment work or a simple promo. But it was really good, and I just had to bring that up for a minute because that's a big piece of the game that some people don't get comfortable with. Devlin, I've kind of dominated this for the last 20 minutes. I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you get some questions in, my man. I'm sorry, this is what happens when I talk wrestling. I just get going.
Wow. That's all right, because as you notice, when I do talk, I don't stop and I kind of go off on a tangent, so it's all good. But no, I mean, just to say, like, has the other sort of aspects of what you've done in life, like before you wrestled and that, did any of that play a part in your kind of progress with the promotional work and like the mic work and stuff, or is it just something you've done?
So, it's a good question, not to be honest. Because I did a tiny bit of acting before then, but I wouldn't say I got my confidence until I was like actually in wrestling. Like I only done the odd few bits. But I'd say once I was actually into wrestling is when I got my confidence more of like. I remember when you do like drills, and I'd see the other guys doing the drills, where me, I'm just going through the motions, headlock, shoot off, tackle. I'm just doing it, not feeling it. And it wasn't a case of like I didn't buy into it. It was more just a case of I was too nervous to emote, if you know what I mean. I felt like people were just gonna look at me like I'm an idiot. But then one key thing with wrestling is after a while you don't really care what anyone thinks, and you just go out and do you. And the people who are just organically like into their character, you can just tell, you can buy into who they are. I'm just going to throw out an example of someone because it's just popped into my head. Charles Crowley. He is someone who you can buy into his character if you're familiar with him. Like
Yes.
as soon, like he looks like a crazy carny from the circus, and everything that he does, every movement, every single emote that he does on a show, his whole presentation, you can just buy into him, and he's a perfect example of someone to look up to if you're looking to like build on character work. I would say he's a perfect example.
He's awesome because he's also an actor.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's probably what helped him a lot in that, but I don't know which one he did first, in all fairness.
I don't know, but I caught something of his. It's only recently, I've been a big fan of Crowley for a while, but it's only been recently that I actually knew he did the acting as well, because I was actually looking up a few things for myself in regards to agencies, and I found like sort of where he was. And obviously, I don't want to give too much curtain pulling for him, but the stuff like his again, I don't want to be too sort of breaking K here, but his sort of character work, his dominance in it's facial as well. It's not just the words he says as well. Like everything about him is that kind of thing. And there were people back in the day that when I was doing my couple of months that were just like that, and people I would sort of follow. And one of my sort of main things, because I've obviously dabbled in acting as well, and one of my sort of main things where I couldn't make the wrestling was the acting, and it was the sort of expressions and the verbal. And I feel that's why I say sort of now I'd look more at sort of managerial side of things or commentary side of things. But if you can make them work hand in hand, like you are clearly doing and now, and there's like I think that's freaking awesome, because you do get some guys that may need as a talker for them, and someone like I'm going to go sort of big American style now, but someone like Don Callis, or even back in the day, Slick or Bobby Heenan or someone like that. But if you can make it work for yourself and you can do the both of them, kind of go off, this is what I mean when you let me talk, Paige, kind of go off on a tangent now, but
that's cool, man.
That sort of stuff is when you can do both of them and you sort of start to recognize that. But I do feel with some people, that's why I asked, that some of the outside influences, even if they may not realize it at the time, may play a part, you know. But yeah, no, Charles Crowley definitely would be someone I would look at as well in that aspect.
Yeah, I think he's a great example. There's I've only really got in the ring with Crowley once. It was in a Rumble at TNT beginning of last year, and there's a photo on my Instagram, and it just shows like every move he does, the way he stands and everything. He made me look like I was 7 foot tall, because Crowley's he's not a small dude. He's about 6'2" or something. But if you look at the picture and how he stands when he's facing off with me, I look about 3 times his size, and it's just the way he's like crouched a bit and he's looking up in fear. And it's just the way, like, he makes everything so believable. That's why I just had to put that out there. Like, he's, honestly, if you're looking into character work, I think he's one of the best guys out there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, I need to check that promo that Paige was talking about from yourself, because, yeah, I've seen you speak once or twice, I think. And, yeah, no, you're not, yeah, you're very good. That's what I mean. Someone that can do both. Especially, again, for someone of your sort of stature, like your size, a wrestler back in the day, people look at someone that big and they think, oh, they're just the muscle sort of thing.
Yeah.
And someone like El Gigante or someone like that, and you know, always would need someone. So when you are big, can wrestle in that way, and then can do other sort of moves again, like the handsprings and things like that, and then can talk, it's like a triple threat.
You're adding elements to you and to your game. And that's kind of where I was going with it, because I know that with VGS, it's been a group situation. Are there more singles opportunities for you coming? Because I feel like, just based on what I've seen, like, it's not a matter if with you, it's kind of a matter of when. something breaks and something shakes and something happens your way. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a contract somewhere. I'm just talking about like an opportunity as in a single situation. Do you feel like you're ready for that? And do you think that there's something like that on the horizons for you?
So I do feel like I'm ready for it, and I do like any challenge. I just want to make the most of. So anything that anyone gives me, it's a singles match, tag match, rumble, anything. I just want to make the most of it, like, and just elevate whoever I'm in the match with, as well as elevating myself. It's as if we both look good, then that's a win-win. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, to be fair to you, I feel like over time my confidence has just risen and risen, and like I've gotten more comfortable. And I don't mean comfortable as in like kind of where people say stay in your comfort zone type of thing. I just mean I've gotten used to being in a situation where you're under pressure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You're under pressure to deliver, but you don't really feel it because you're in the moment. If you kind of get what I mean, it's kind of a weird way to explain it.
Yeah, no,
But
no.
like you just got focused on delivering everything, and in terms of like whatever's on the horizon for me. So at the moment, so next month I'll be challenging for the TNT Ignition Championship up against MVK because he put out an open challenge last month, and I replied to it. And then
That's the one.
He basically accepted
That's
it.
the one. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. That's the promo. Did you put that one out within the last 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, what, 3 weeks ago, maybe something like that.
That's the one. Devlin, I'll send it to you because I have a book. I have it marked. I'll be able to send it to you.
Yeah.
That's the one. You accepted his open challenge, and I saw his response to you. Didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. That just
No, it's all good. I was just going to say, and more recently, so we wrestled. I said earlier that Pud and Darius wrestled at in the arena as part of Comic Con. I also wrestled against Lewis Johnson that day, and after my match, when I got backstage, because I knew MVK was about because he had the match earlier that day. But then as soon as I get through the locker room, I get a super kick to the face and find out that it's on. Because he never replied as soon as I said I accepted it. So I was like, well, is he accepting it or not? Are you going to say something or what? So his response was to kick me in the face. And I promise you guys, you'll definitely be getting a receipt on the 1st of June.
yeah.
TNT High Voltage, if I want to put a little promo out there.
Yeah, no doubt. I need to see that show when it comes out. If there's a way for me to take a peek at it.
I believe they put it. I believe it goes to Demand Progress a bit after,
Okay.
like the Progress's streaming network. I believe it goes on there. I don't know how long the timescale. Probably a couple of weeks after us. I'm not sure.
I would
But
imagine.
that's where it'll probably be.
Can I ask something?
Go on.
Just something I've always wanted to know, and Paige, you may even know the answer to this. And if it's too sort of curtainy and you want to leave it out, that's fine. With open challenges, I mean, how do they generally work? Is it a literal first come, first served thing, or are they done in terms of booking? I've never known.
So it depends on the promotion, I would say. It depends on what they want to achieve. They might already have someone in mind for what they want to do.
Okay.
Or I'm assuming there's sometimes cases where they're not sure that they want to go with, so they want to see what wrestlers reply to them and decide that way. So I think it depends on the promotion and what they've got planned, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it would be more of a if you know the direction, then yeah, you do it, and if you want to gauge the interest, and then at that point, as a promoter and a money man, if you get general interest from other people, you can start figuring out what's going to be financially conducive for whatever I'm trying to do.
That's one thing I've never known how whether that's been like, worked beforehand and then put out for the crowd, or, if it is just a literal, who wants it? Me, that kind of thing. Because I
think it depends on the situation. Sometimes they might do it that way, or sometimes they might have someone in mind.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's all good.
I want to give you.
I'm still sideways on my screen, but I'm glad on your side. I'm all good.
No, you're fine on my side. I'm interested here because you've come a long way in 7 years, and with the market, the independent market starting to pick up, what kind of differences, crowd wise or monetary wise, have you seen post COVID? Because that seems to be, when the boom on the indie scene, I think, really started in 17, 18, and then COVID shut everything down. and then once everything opened up, like it was just a boom. Here we are, and so post COVID, uh, how has the landscape changed? What have you seen, whether it be crowd attendance or what have you? And do you see it continuing to grow within the organizations that you're working with now?
So I can't give a full answer on it because, to be fair, I wasn't really properly on the independent scene till post COVID because I'd only had, I think, about two or three like independent bookings from my like training school before COVID. So it's only two or three different places I've done, but like the odd match.
Sure.
So, but post COVID, I feel like from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, is there definitely is a boom going on in there. Like the passion from fans, every single show, the crowd seem to get hotter and hotter, and they've invested. Like each promotion that we wrestle for, the passion is there from the fans, and the audiences are growing. And I feel like just to mention my son for a second, because he's a massive wrestling fan, and like just the passion that he has for it, I feel like that's a passion that is growing, like, you know, through families and stuff, you know, through the kid, from the parents to the kids, like that is going tenfold. Like if you ask my son about wrestlers, he knows pretty much everyone. His knowledge, it's not even me exaggerating, his knowledge to it is insane. Bear in mind, he's 5 years old and he will sit on 2K24, not playing matches. No, he'll be there making gear. Like, so say, for example, Backlash was just happened, yeah? The next day, he's there trying to recreate Jey Uso's gear and all those. His eye to detail is insane for a 5-year-old. I don't get it, but that type of passion, I feel like, coming just from him, that I think that is also anyone who's just getting into pro wrestling, that level of passion is going to be the same. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's a way to kind of symbolize it, because I can't say fully, like, I don't know how much like everything's grown, but I feel like just looking at my son as an example and the amount of passion he has for it and the amount of passion the crowds have, I feel like that's how it's going. It's passing from generation to generation, but the passion, I feel like, is increasing, especially with the quality of the product that's going out these days as well.
Sure, it makes total sense. Here's something scary. So we'll say post COVID, it's been 3 years. Look how far you've come in 3 years. And this isn't so much a question, so more it is a statement. Think about where you're going to be in the next 3 years. If you've come this far, this quick, with character development, connection to the crowd, the investment of the crowd, being able to talk, and overall, like, just being pretty. This is our first conversation, but just being a pretty cool dude in general.
Appreciate that, man.
Think about where you're going to be in the next 3 years, with putting in the work and getting out there and making it happen. Because the biggest misconception about professional wrestling is everybody can do it. There's a spot for everybody in professional wrestling, but not everybody can get in the ring. In your head, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years?
It's a really cool question. Where do I see myself in 3 years? I feel like I'm on like a steady like incline, and I feel like I'm working towards it. But at the same time, I don't always look too far ahead. For me, I kind of focus on every match individually. A bit like the way you, like in football terms or soccer terms, so you get someone will say, you know, you're only as good as your last game type of thing. I feel like I'm only as good as my last match. So I go into every match just looking to improve and looking to just deliver. Every single match I want to go out and to deliver. So I usually go match by match. I'd say if you go like in goals, I'd say in 3 years' time, I'd hope to be able to do this full time, to the point where I can just make a comfortable living for my family. I'm not saying like being signed or nothing, but if I'm wrestling full time and it's enough for me to make ends meet and like live comfortably, that's where I would want to be. So I would say that's more of a goal than a prediction. But that's what I'd probably say. That's what I'd like to be, is be able to do this full time.
Well, see, I think that is very achievable, because I equate the modern day independent scene eerily reminiscent of the old territory days when I was growing up and watching wrestling, because there's so much everywhere. I feel like there are more not predominant. There are more legitimate organizations on the independent scene now than there have ever been. Now, let's be fair. There are some indies that are out there that aren't reputable and aren't the best for everybody, right? But there are more reputable feds out there now than there have ever been. And truly, like, I'll tell you the same thing I told Tommy, or the same thing that I've told some guys from Australia, both privately and on the air. Like, if you're ever trying to do international over here to the States, like, that's stuff that can happen. And it's that should be a long-term goal. Initially you get yourself planted to where you can make a living, which I do think is possible. Because, like I said, there's so many feds that are out there. There's work to be had, and if you continue the grind that you've started, like, there's nothing stopping you, in my opinion. Like, there's just nothing that could stop you guys. You guys are onto something good, and it needs to be seen, and it needs to be seen on a larger scale. Especially, and the beautiful thing about where I was going with the indie statement, you can take a story anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah.
If you get it over in one place, while consumption is more readily available with streaming and checking stuff out on YouTube, et cetera, doesn't mean that you can't take the story elsewhere and get it over there.
Yeah.
And get it over there. And differently. I mean, there's ways for things to happen, and that's the beautiful thing about the evolution of professional wrestling. Sorry, that's my rant, and I get one of those a show. I just used it.
One of those a show. I will get my run, damn it.
Got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll go ahead and tie a bow on this. Unless, Devlin, do you have anything on your mind? Anything you want to ask real quick?
Right now, no. I'm sure I may think of something to follow up, or even when we've gone, I'll think, I should have asked that. But right now, I think we've kind of covered most of it I was thinking.
Okay. 2 questions for you, and then we'll wrap it up. The first one. If you could get in the ring with anybody in the independent scene, we ask everybody on the program, who are some of your dream matches out there that over the next couple of years that you'd love to see yourself in the ring with?
So, more in the UK, one person I really want to wrestle. I've met him a few times. Cool guy. Will Cruz. You familiar with Will Cruz?
I'm not, but
Big Will Cruz.
We made
mate. So he's a really big guy, but also really athletic too. So similar in a way that I'm big and athletic as well, but like I've watched some of the stuff, some of the matches he's had as well, and like I just love to have a match with Will Cruz. That's one thing that hopefully will happen one day, because I've seen that he was wrestling at Atomic, which is a Liverpool-based promotion recently.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully it won't be long before we cross paths. Hopefully.
Okay.
Another person that I don't know why I like the idea of big beefy men bumping meat. That's my thing. But another guy which isn't really a fair one, because I'm wrestling him on Saturday. But Isaac North, someone I've always wanted to get in the ring with, if you're familiar with him.
Yes.
And our paths are going to cross this Saturday at OTP. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's kind of a dream match for me, but it's also only going to happen in a few days, so it'll be a reality real soon. If we're talking like worldwide, that's one for me to more think about, because when I say worldwide, I just go straight to, because I mostly follow WWE when I watch wrestling over in the States. It's just, to be fair, it's easier for me to follow because I just struggle to watch so much wrestling. Especially when you do it, you don't watch as much wrestling as you would think. Like, you do watch it more to study than anything else, and then I'll watch the pay-per-views and everything.
You're preaching to the choir when you talk about wrestling content.
There's endless amounts of wrestling content there. You could there's probably enough content coming out weekly that you could watch enough to cover your entire day every day.
Facts.
Even new content. But I'm going off subject there. We're talking about people that I would love to face. So I'll just stick with the Brit wrestling because I'm a bit more familiar with that.
Sure.
But as I said, Will Cruz is one. Isaac North's another. But we'll get that one sorted on Saturday. Who else do I think I'd love to get in the ring with?
I've got one.
You know what the funny thing is? I wrote a list about these people that I wanted to wrestle ages ago, and I should have looked at that today.
I've got one for you. While I'm not as well versed as on the Brit independent scene, I have watched a large part of it, and there are a couple of different guys out there that I think that you could have a really good match with. And the first one I'm going to throw out at you is Levi Muir. What do you think about Big Levi?
Okay. I've met Levi before. He was at Wrestle Island once.
I mean, you two
Like that guy is in immense shape. Immense shape.
two big guys throwing it down like that. I feel if the story was right and everything with the psychology was right with it, it could be really good. The second one I want to throw out at you is because I've never seen a bad match from this guy at all, and I have not that I go out of my way trying by any means. Robbie X. I think that he is.
Oh.
I have seen him wrestle some larger guys. I have seen him wrestle some of the smaller guys. I have seen him get in there with his own cruiserweights. I've never seen a bad match from him, and I think that you two could probably do something really good too. What are you thinking about that?
Well, we both do handsprings. I'm sure he does it a lot better than me, but I'm sure we both do them, and I'm sure we'd work to something that would involve that. Because why not? No, I've met Robbie. He's a lovely guy, Robbie, as well. The first time I actually got to meet him was at a TNT show, and unfortunately got injured on the show. But the story of it is, he's done his ankle in, and he wanted to. We were trying to help him back to his car. Now it was an uphill place to this car. It was an uphill walk to this car park, and respect to him, he was so determined to walk there under his own power. The only thing I held for him was his donuts. He had a packet of donuts. Now, if you look at Robbie X, he doesn't look like he has any carbs at all. It's a very random story there, but it's just the first memory that came up when I thought of Robbie X. But yeah, genuinely, I'd love to have a match with him. Like, if I could keep up, I'm sure I can keep up somehow.
I've got one for you, if you don't mind, just quickly.
Sure.
Very similar reason as your Will Cruz one. Big guy, actually bigger than you just slightly. He's 6'6". He also what did you say?
I said, damn him for being taller.
He also likes to pose as a luchador sometimes. The Pride of Wales, Eddie Dennis.
Oh, that'd be an interesting one, to be honest.
You're both big men, but you're both very, very agile as well. I think that would be a good match.
I'd be more than happy to do that. Like, if they'd be an honor to be able to wrestle them, to be honest.
Well,
but you never know. Anything can happen. Like, if anything has taught me about wrestling, is anything can actually happen. Like I said, the past 3 years we've talked before has been insane. Another person I'd like to mention as well, I'd love to wrestle is Bullet. Are you familiar with Bullet? Wrestles at South Pro. He's also now at TNT as well. Mm-hmm. So he's only just gone to TNT, and now we're there. Give it time.
Isn't he holding a belt at the moment?
He's just won the South Pro heavyweight championship. He literally just won it on at False Idols on the 6th of May, I think it was.
Wow.
In a ladder match.
So
he's another guy. Like, I know I'm picking all big guys, but I don't know what it is. And it's even then, some of the big guy wrestlers I wouldn't even be the biggest fans of, but for some reason you'll watch a Rumble, right? And then all of a sudden everyone's down. Mark Henry gets up, and then Big Show gets up, and the crowd come up for it. It's just one of those, you say, oh, it's like that. It's literally what it's like. So, oh, the two big guys are going to fight, and it's something like, typically my favorite matches are usually bigger guys against smaller guys, but I love those moments. And storytelling wise, you can really tell a great story with two big guys as well. A lot of people think that you can't because they think the action will be slow, but it depends on the performers. But my favorite type of, I'm going off subject again, but I'm just gonna get this out there that quick. It's like my two favorite wrestlers are The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and the way they work together every match. They don't think they ever had a bad match, the two of them, to be honest. I think with age, their matches just, we don't talk about Crown Jewel, but with age, their matches got better and better.
Yeah, up until
and just the stuff they had, like, I think a big man, little man match is usually like one of the best stories you can tell, but there's so many unique ways you can do it.
There's nothing better than a good big hoss fight's what I call them. They could be the best of times, or they could be the worst of times. You never know.
Yeah, I think also, I think the build to it as well is like, because it can just be a moment. Sometimes it never even happens in a Rumble, but the two of them just staring at each other, the crowd will always come up for it. Because I think you'll also have people just like, oh, I want to see that big guy fight with that big guy. because you just want to see it. There's something that I don't know if we can all relate to, but there's something you just see two big titans go up, then you go, oh yeah, I want to see them fight. I want to see them throw hands, and it's just one of those things.
It'll take me into my last question for you. And actually, you've kind of answered it a little bit through what you just said. If I came to you and said, "Who should I be watching on the independent British scene right now?" Who would that be? If you had, you know,
Okay, so I think it depends on what you're like, what type of wrestler you want to be, or what your style you're going for is. So, like, if you were going for athleticism, cruiserweights, you've already mentioned them. I would say Robbie X. Well, the clips that I see that man does is insane. Like, it's just, and how everything's so, like, his positioning's always spot on. Like, his ring awareness is really, really good, and it obviously has to be for the type of moves that he's doing. But he tends to nail everything. Like, he's really, really good. If you're looking for character work, I did say Charles Crowley, really, like, one of the best people out there for character work, in my opinion. If you're looking for like power-based wrestlers, because I'm not going to be one of those guys who mentioned myself, but hopefully I'll be in that conversation one day. So what I've watched from Bullet, he's really, really good powerhouse. Also, he doesn't have to do much to garner that reaction. He's kind of like, he's not really a silent person either. Like, he's good at cutting promos as well. But from what you see, like what you were saying about me, where I can just basically stand there and be a badass, the way he presents himself as like this massive monster, he's just so believable. And that's another person I would say, if that's your type of style you're going for, definitely watch a lot of the stuff that Bullet does. I'd say basically it depends on your style. For like, if you gave me like each type of style, who I would point out as the key examples, if you want to do something like that.
Well, here's why I asked that question. We have a saying on our channel: professional wrestling brings people together. Always does.
Yeah.
It always will. And when you give me the names like that, like with the platform here, is really garnered towards independence. Like, we do have some stuff, some Legends of Wrestling and some other stuff to bring eyes to the channel, to get eyes on other things. But 90% of our stuff is independent wrestling. When I look up these names, because I'm not familiar with half of them, right? But when I look them up, you're introducing me to them and to their work. But not only their work, because we watch stuff at random, right? When I pull matches, you've given me, 5 names, but you've really given me 10, because those matches have to have opponents. And
and that's how you become familiar with them.
Exactly. It's one question just opened their bodies of work up to new eyes, and that on the independent scene is crucial. And it's the more people who see you, the more people who share you, the more notoriety you bring to yourself. It's a business, right? And I always end things with that, because that's to me is the secret sauce that keeps independent wrestling going for the general fan, is discovering new people, discovering new talents, and really diving into the body of work. I say that to say, KC, this has been a tremendous conversation. I appreciate you taking the time. Like, real shit, it's almost 1 a.m. your time. Same for Devlin. I want to give you the platform to plug anything that you need to plug. Guys, you can already see above him at the KC Payne on Instagram and Twitter. It's right above his head. Independent wrestling, the easiest way to support is go ahead and hit that follow, hit that like, because when you do that, you're going to come across VGS content, which is over on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, which is an easy subscribe. It's a simple free click. All this stuff costs you nothing. If you can buy a t-shirt, you're going to be directed to the down below link where you can find all of the VGS merchandise, a link to everything VGS related. So I'll get those out of the way for you, so you don't have to worry about that, because that's going to be covered. But if you have anything that you want to say to the viewers, and then Devlin, I'll come over to you and we'll tie a bow on it and we'll get out of here.
Well, first of all, Chris, Devlin, thank you so much for actually having me on. Like, I did see bits of the one that you did with Tommy, and like, I thought it was really cool that you reached out to me and asked me to be on the podcast. Like, it's a really cool opportunity just to get there and get to know you guys. You know what I mean? Like, talk wrestling with someone. Like I said, we've spoken through message. This is the first time we spoken in, well, kind of in person, at least on a call. We had the first time we've had a proper conversation, and like, as you were saying, wrestling brings everyone together, and I feel like that's literally how this has brought us all together. This conversation is we've just hit it off just based on the passion for wrestling, and that's the beauty of it. If you'd agree with that.
No, absolutely. I don't. We get guys telling us that, I mean, off air, and some of them have said it on air, that we're their favorite podcast. And I do that because, and I can even say this, Devlin, I'm not going to call you out, but I am going to kind of call you out. He was like, "Oh my God, I don't have any questions prepared." I was like, "Bro, we're organic. I don't want to come in with a preconceived notion of what we're going to talk about because people can see through fake. They can see through the robotics of it all. And why do that? Let's genuinely connect over the passion of professional wrestling and your journey throughout it because this is about you. It's about you, where you're going, and you're a part of a really good faction over there. I'm not wishing anything bad upon VGS by any means, but I know that when the opportunity presents itself for there to be a singles run for you, that you're going to knock it out of the park. I can sense it, I can feel it, I can see it. And that's not blowing smoke up your ass, that's the truth. And just like I see a shitload of potential with Tommy, I see a shitload of potential with Quintessential, both Christy and Pud as a tag team and as single. You guys are onto something really good, and we will continue to support you guys. Anything that I see from you will get a retweet. Same thing with Devlin, because Devlin piggybacks off of me, or he sees it himself. He's went out and bought your shirt, for fuck's sakes. You guys have.
Hey, gotta respect that, man. You got the merch on. I can't disrespect that.
I'm just saying.
But
Devlin.
But no, man, I'm really grateful that like you gave me this opportunity. It's really cool to actually just sit there and have a conversation with you guys. As you were saying, it is organic. Like it just all the questions just came from where the conversation spiraled to. Well, yeah. Snowball to would be a better term.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed it, man. It's been really cool to actually get on here with you. In going back to the plugs, now normally I'm quite good at when we come up to the plugs. But if you ever watch any of our like YouTube videos, the way we do it, you're saying organic. Oh, we don't script anything. We may have an idea of what we're gonna do, but no one's ever scripted. So every outro, because we were thinking, because our outros are so chaotic, should we just start scripting it? And we went, no. The whole draw to what we do is because it's organic, like yourself.
Yeah.
So literally our outros would just be like, hope you have a great day, bye, 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 or just something random. I think, have you ever watched Bird in the Big Blue House? I'm going off here, but just for 1 second.
Mm-mm.
So it was a kid show called Bear in the Big Blue House. It was on Disney Channel. Yeah. And there's a song at the end where the bear sings to the moon. It was like, goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. Now, at the end of one of our vlogs, Christy just sang it. So when he just done that for the outro, and then the moon was put behind a curtain. And before the video could end, he ends up getting shouted at by the person who owns the venue, saying, "Get off the curtains, or you'll have to pay for them." And I was like, "We'll just leave that in there because if we take that's what makes it funny."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta,
all organic.
It's all organic. That's the best way to be, man. It is the best way to be because, again, at least if it's organic,
I think that's what people enjoy.
Facts.
Yeah.
Devlin, what do you want to say?
Go on.
I was just going to say there that just to piggyback off that, one of the things I always learned and one of the big things I trained with drama school was about improvisation. And it's something that stuck with me. So that whole kind of concept of just running with it, it's just been there my whole life. But yeah, okay. So no, KC, man, thanks for coming on. And it's been awesome because I'm a massive VGS fan. I'm a massive KC Payne fan. Massive Tommy Jackson fan. Let's get that on. But no, everything I can watch, I have been watching, and I can't wait to see more. And just thanks for coming on, and Paige, thanks for grabbing me in here. Sorry, John Cable, you missed out today. Guys, if you haven't subscribed and liked and done all that business, then just go do it now, because as you see, we have content like this. We've got spotlights, we've got Legends of Wrestling, Wrestling Requests Live. We do so much here. Paige is such a busy guy, and we have so much content coming and going. And as you can tell, I'm winging this as well. But yeah, no, like, subscribe,
They
bell,
do a great
follow.
job, man. That promotion's actually really good. I was like looking at that. I need to take some notes from this.
Well,
Awesome. But yeah, just do it all, guys. Come on. And I don't know. Do you want to say the line Tommy always says?
Which one? Which line are we going for? He's got quite a few, in all fairness.
Should I say it?
Are we talking our catchphrase, or are we talking when Tommy says that's what we do? He says that a lot now.
The catchphrase.
Well, we are inevitable, that one.
Or the stay.
Said it more. What?
Stay. Inevitable.
Stay. Sorry, I didn't hear that. We're all breaking down now.
Stay inevitable.
Oh, he says stay inevitable. I should know this, but I'm sure because it all went from we are inevitable to kind of inevitable. We just tie inevitable and inevitable. The whole meaning behind that, by the way, which I don't know if Tom's discussed that, but the whole meaning of we are inevitable was our success is inevitable. Where we want to go, it's inevitable that we get there, and that was the whole thing. That's what it means. So if you ever ask us what our catchphrase means, it means our success is inevitable. Our rise to where we want to be is inevitable. And 3 years on, I feel like we're doing pretty good.
I think I'd say so, and I also think we left enough meat on the bone to have a follow-up conversation with you down the line. If that's something that you're inclined to do, if you want to come back on, we'll be more than happy to have you because I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, man, I'd love to. Genuinely, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Like as you said it's nearly 1 a.m. I haven't even checked the clock. Like I've just been sitting there enjoying the conversation. So it flew by to me.
That's a win. Again, guys, like, subscribe, follow KC over on social medias. You'll find all things VGS and Solo. Yes, sir.
Go on, I'll get all these plugs out as well. And I think you've probably already got half of them on screen anyway. So if you're looking to find me, it's at the KC Payne. I've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, and TikTok as well. So there's sometimes I post videos up there of me kicking someone in the face to Earth, Wind and Fire September. So if you like stuff like that, go to TikTok as well. And we've got YouTube, which is youtube.com/VGS YouTube. And we've got Patreon, patreon.com/VGS Plus. So all the videos that go out on YouTube, they actually go out on Patreon first. So we have price ranges from £1, which is just like a general support, where it's just like, a little tip to the hat for us. We appreciate your support. At £4, you get access to all the content. So like all the videos that we've done, you'll get them all first. They usually go out a few months later on YouTube. And then for £6, we also do, we call it the inevitable tier. Basically, you get all the content. You also get exclusive discounts to the VGS merch. You also get access to releases a bit earlier. So you also get more perks. It just depends on whatever suits you. If you're into the content, you got the £4 option. And then if you're into getting the content as well as discounts on the merch, you'll get your own unique discount code. So then you can go to vgsshop.bigcartel.com. You'd think I have a quote sheet here, but I actually just know these off by heart, funny enough. But yeah, you'll get discounts there on merchandise. You get 20% off on anything.
Perfect. See, the easiest way to support, guys, if you can make it happen, make it happen. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Continue on your journey. And we'll definitely circle back around and have another conversation with you down the line, man. Guys and gals, this has been another episode of Beyond the Bell. We've had the great and powerful KC Payne. Next week, we don't know who's coming on yet. We'll figure that out when we go. For Devil and Knight, I'm Chris Page. We'll see you soon.